Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the MindGoals podcast hosted by yours truly, Siobhan Higgins, professional soccer player and sports psychology consultant. For a little bit of a recap from last week's episode, I spoke a little bit more about the culture and team dynamics from my team in Hungary and my experiences. And I left you with a little bit of foreshadowing to this week's episode on Irish goodbying, but more specifically on how to set boundaries as an athlete and what that might look like. So for today's episode, we have my former teammate who played with me in Hungary and my friend, Claire Stackel.
What's going on, everybody? Siobhan, how are you? I haven't seen you in like 3 years.
I know. And now I'm virtually seeing you because you are where?
I am in Medellin, Colombia.
Very cool.
It's great. I recommend this place to anyone. It's way better than Bogota. The people are nicer. I'm living amongst the mountains. Yeah, I don't know. It's nice weather. It's February back at home. Right here, it's 80 degrees. So yeah, I'm in Colombia.
Yeah. Where is home for you?
So I'm from northern New York. My parents live 30 minutes from the Canadian border. I'm not from Buffalo, that's Western New York, but I'm like an hour north of Syracuse.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a New Yorker.
That's why I think that's one thing that drew me towards you. My people.
You like the directness?
Yes. Yeah. I just know that first day in the locker room, we made
Hungarians tend to just stare at you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in the locker room the first day and everyone was staring at me, which is fine. The Hungarians literally were staring at me, pretending they couldn't speak English. They could. And you came over and shook my hand and were like, "Hey, I'm Siobhan." I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
I shook your hand.
That's cool.
That's so formal of me.
You introduced yourself. It's very nice.
Cool. I'm glad that you have that memory. I unfortunately don't remember, but I do remember you staring. And I was like, she's seen what I've seen. We're going to trauma bond.
I had no
episodes. I tell the audience a little bit about how I got to Hungary. Could you explain a little bit about how you made it over there?
Yeah, so I obviously played soccer before going over to Hungary. I played 2 years of Division II college soccer, and then I transferred and walked on to a Division I soccer team, both schools in New York State. And then once I graduated December 2019, so right before COVID, I was knocking on the door. I got my first job out of college, was working as a press coordinator at the New York State Assembly. But I got hired in February 2020, and then a month later, the world like exploded. So I hated that job. It was terrible for me.
Oh, no.
I drank every day, would get 2 double vodka sodas at lunch, drink them as fast as I could for lunch, take a nap at my desk. And then after work, go out with the assemblyman. And I worked for the Republican Party in New York State. And if you know anything about politics, New York is blue state, so we had no power at all. And I was working for 70-year-old white men, so I didn't pay for a single drink for the 10 months I worked there. It was insane.
As it should be.
But I ended up quitting December 2020, and I needed something to do. And I kind of missed soccer, but I hadn't played in a year. And I had a friend who was playing in Iceland, so I texted her. I was like, "Hey, how did you get over there?" And she's like, "Yeah, you just make a highlight reel. I'll give you the name of my agent, set you up." So this was the end of December. I made like a highlight tape. And then by February 10th, I think February 12th, maybe, I was in Hungary playing soccer. And I think I had a little more time than you did. I think in the previous episode, you said you had 3 days to figure out if you wanted to go over.
Yeah.
I think I had like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And the thing was, though, I hadn't played in like a year, which is not good in soccer. You need to touch the ball every day.
Yeah.
So, and it was winter in New York State. So I'm like, I'm like doing what the wrestlers did. You know, when they put like the plastic bags on to lose weight and sweat? I'm
Did
like
you do that?
I'm doing shit like that, running through the snow. Like, it was crazy.
Just a 2-week boot camp to make up for 1 years of no soccer?
Yeah.
Oh my
A
goodness.
lot of touches on the ball in those 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, I wouldn't have known that. I mean, seeing you play, it seemed like you had been playing. So, and again, as a sports psychology consultant, I wouldn't advise you to go and like, without playing for a year. Definitely prepare. But hey, if it works for you.
Yeah. I also, I was in a toxic relationship at this point in my life. So when I had quit my job, me and my boyfriend had broken up, and he had told me, I don't want to do long distance. Because we had lived in the same place and I was going to move home, which is like 2.5 hours away, which to me is not really long distance, but fine. So I said, okay, whatever, man. I'm going to move to Eastern Europe. All right. Sayonara.
Now you're really not going to do the distance.
Yeah.
I'll show you distance.
Because I don't know if you remember this, but while I was over there, he wanted to get back with me. And I was like, isn't this long distance? I don't understand.
Oh, man. Yeah. And I forgot that was a factor. I also was recently fresh out of a relationship before I went. And I thought, hey, I've got no strings attached. It's just me and soccer now. So I did something similar. But no, we didn't end up pursuing anything further. I'm happy that I went there with a clear mindset.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I ended up back in that toxic relationship. But Hungary was, it wasn't good for my mind.
It wasn't good for my mind either. I do have a question though. Had you been to Europe prior, or was Hungary the first country that you visited in Europe?
Yeah, I had been to Europe. I'd been Western Europe, which is way different than Eastern Europe. I had been to London with my mom. And then my friend was studying abroad in Barcelona, so I'd been to Spain as well. But I hadn't been in the Eastern Bloc at all.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't either. So culture shock, to say the least.
Yeah, but the thing is, going in, I knew it was going to be a third world country and a shithole, honestly. Sorry if you have any Hungarian listeners, but you know, I knew what the Cold War was. I knew what communism was. I knew that Hungary was part of the USSR. I knew all that going in. I had seen the movie Europe. I understood what I was getting myself into, but I needed to change my situation.
Got it.
And that opportunity came, and I didn't have any other job lined up. So I said, all right, let's do this. It was only you and I both only did a mid-season transfer.
Yeah, it was a short time.
The whole year anyway.
Right. Yeah. No, it's same for me. I mean, I was looking for an opportunity and it was a small duration of time. I think I would have gone had it been longer. Thank God that wasn't the case for me. But yeah, similar situation. And so about your agent, what was your relationship like with him? Because I didn't have one. Somebody just called me.
Yeah, so his name was Michael.
Okay.
Lovely guy. And like I said, he was my friend's agent. But the thing is, we didn't really have like a great relationship because I hadn't known him prior. It was just like a guy like, all right, I got you a contract. If you need help, let me know. But not having a relationship prior it's not good to have an agent who you aren't comfortable with, because when I was over in Hungary and I was struggling with some things, I didn't want to text a guy I didn't know and be like, hey, can you help me out? Like,
yeah.
I wanted not to have this kind of food and they gave it to me. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm bitching to someone who I don't even know.
Exactly.
So yeah, so like not knowing my agent firsthand was like, we didn't really have a relationship, I guess.
Yeah. I that's difficult because I have been through a couple agents and had good and bad experiences. But again, so you would recommend obviously to future athletes to kind of know a little bit about them prior, do some research, see what other athletes they have, and then ask the other athletes what they think about the agent.
Yeah, and I mean, I had spoken to him on the phone and he seemed really passionate about soccer and everything. It's just like even meeting new friends, like not even related to soccer at all, but in the real world, it takes me a little bit to warm up to them. So like an agent who is honestly like in charge of my life, like the background part of it, it probably would have been better for me to have a few more chats before I decide to sign a contract that was kind of linked to him as well.
Yeah. That's a difficult thing to do, especially given the situations that we were in, and provided both of ours are different but somewhat similar. And so I do want to get into that actually, because I've spoken about what happened with me, my living situation. Could you tell the audience a little bit about, yeah, we're going to dive in right now, your living situation, and then your relationships with anyone on the team? You know, obviously you and I hung out, and then I had Katie was my roommate, but what was it like for you?
Okay, so let me just start. I flew out of JFK. I flew from Syracuse to JFK. Then I flew to, I don't even know, somewhere, Turkey. And then I made it there. I took Turkish Airlines. We had 2 meals on the flight.
Nice.
So I'm already knowing like this might be the worst experience of my life, because the first meal was a turkey and cheese sandwich, and the second meal was a cheese sandwich. Okay.
It should have been other way around. The cheese sandwich while you're leaving America, and then add turkey, for the
And I gave it to the Russian guy next to me because I was like, I'm not eating this.
Okay. Picky eater or what?
I get to Hungary and it was late. I don't know. I think I got there like 11 or 12 at night. I get picked up by someone. I thought it was the men's team's goalkeeper, but it was our goalkeeper.
Oh, okay. It was our goalkeeper, yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. Then she drives me to close at night. Yeah, you didn't know this?
No, wait, they loved what? 80 degrees?
They love the temperature to be so fucking hot at night that they just jacked up the thermostat. Okay?
What?
I'm dying.
I'm sweating.
Yeah, so yeah, I would open the window and it was cold. Like it was 40 degrees.
Yeah.
It was perfect. So at night it was good. But the thing is, we were in Eastern Europe, right? And I lived on the outskirts of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, it was an industrial city, right? So I would take a shower at night, which, by the way, the shower.
Yeah. How was your shower situation?
A little head, so I had to sit down in the shower to wash my hair.
I had done that before too.
Was the absolute worst, because if you stood up, then it would flood the bathroom.
Yeah, because it would spray off you because there were no shower curtains, right? Yeah, it's something that was so rare.
I would shower before I went to bed, like go to bed with wet hair, and I would wake up, and because my window was open, my hair would smell like a bonfire when I woke up. So I think, in 40 years, I'm gonna have cancer. It's okay,
No.
A little radiation, fine.
We were in Hungary, not Chernobyl, Claire.
I mean, close enough, really. I'm serious. Do you remember what those buildings looked like behind our practice field?
Yeah. How they're
It
ingrained.
was like Call of Duty.
Oh, I know. If I had, yeah, they were gray. Okay, the way that I describe it to people back home is, I don't know if you ever played Toontown, but it's like whenever you enter like the scary part and those bots are like black and gray walking around and everything's dull. Yeah, it was pretty. There was no life in it, lifeless, if you will.
Yeah, and then I think my roommates hated me because I was American. Do you remember this? They always thought I was talking about them.
I don't remember that, but they were probably just not sure. I mean, Language barriers
I don't know,
were
but
big.
it was bad.
Yeah.
The language. And then my one roommate she couldn't speak any English, but she would sing Whitney Houston all the time.
I really enjoyed her energy. She loved to dance and had this one dance move. I think it came up in my Snapchat memories the other day of her dancing and singing. But yeah, so one of your roommates would translate for the other one at all times. That was language barrier for her in itself.
And then they did this thing where we had a cleaning schedule.
I knew I was going to ask you about that.
It was like it was like I had to clean the bathroom with like bleach and mop. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. I'm just an American. I'm not that clean. I'm neat. I'm not clean. I'm sorry. I don't want to be on my knees bleaching the
Ours, yeah, we didn't have I remember walking over to the apartment once and seeing like a calendar in the kitchen, and I was like, Claire, it's your cleaning day. But we didn't have that.
It pissed me off.
It's hard to live with roommates, which is another thing.
You didn't have it because the girl that you lived with, she was from Romania.
Yeah, and yeah, she was Romanian, and she was very clean.
She would clean constantly.
She would clean constantly, but I'm also very clean, and I think Katie just kind of kept to herself. But there were times where our roommate asked us, hey, can you clean the kitchen today? And we were like, yes, because we didn't have a dishwasher, and so of course. But we just left some things in the sink, and so we would just make sure to do that. But she had to nudge us a few times. But for the most part, we were a pretty clean household, but we didn't have a schedule like that. Maybe we needed it, but
yeah, I think they hated me, but that's fine.
I think they're still playing in the country too. Different team though.
Yeah, different team, which I don't understand. Everyone just transfers to the same like 3 teams, and they just like, okay, we're gonna switch. Now I'm gonna go here. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't try to move out of the league if you wanted different competition.
Couldn't tell me because I'm not playing there. I lived and I learned and I'm good, For some people, again, each their own. Some people enjoyed it. Some people wanted to move up a level. Cool. But once you get to the top, now what? Maybe try another country and just diversify your competition and see other skill sets and the way that other people play. But I was going to ask you, so like environment-wise, we gotta jump into some point about how you Irish goodbye and how we orchestrated that really great event. But just tell us a little bit more about the buildup and why you decided to leave. Or like, what was going on in your life at home, or what was going on in your head other than soccer? Because the crowd doesn't know it, but you played every game and you started every game, right? And I didn't, so I had my own personal struggle with that. But you were getting game time. I mean, as far as I know, I think people on the team, were nice or just kind of went along your own way. Like you weren't going on strike like I was, or you weren't causing a ruckus, or I think coach liked you. So just tell us a little bit about your experience and where your mind was and just the build up before you left.
Yeah. So me leaving had nothing to do with soccer. Like you said, I played in all the games. In the weight room, our coach wasn't challenging me. I was at the strong bench.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring that up, but I was at the top.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's a song.
And like I said, I'd quit my job previously, and literally while I was in Hungary, I was studying for the GRE because I didn't know if I wanted to get my MBA. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had previously taken the LSAT. So I had, I could go to law school. I could go to get my MBA. I didn't know what I want to do. I took the GRE in Hungary. I didn't even have a desk.
What? Wait, I don't remember that.
Yeah, you didn't know this, but it was like, I think 15 days after I got to Hungary, I took the GRE in my bedroom while my Greek roommate is singing in the kitchen. And I didn't get into UT Austin.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I remember that one. I was so excited to have a neighbor. Oh man.
Yeah, but I was dealing with that, and like I I kind of alluded to before, my toxic relationship ex-boyfriend, he texted me how he wanted a relationship, and I fell for it.
Oh man. You know? So you're thinking, I can go back home to somebody, we can rekindle this.
I can change them. You can never change them. Okay? You can't.
Yep.
So I was dealing with that, but I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Taxi Driver, any of the viewers. I was literally waking up at 6 a.m. every morning. I don't know if you knew this, Siobhan, but I was waking up at 6 a.m. doing 100 push-ups, doing 100 sit-ups in my room, like writing my fucking journal, like Travis Bickle and Taxi Driver. I was fucking insane because I was not in a good mental place.
Oh man.
And then
I did not know that.
On top of that, I would have to go to practice. Right? We had practice like 4 times a week for 2 hours. I thought we were gonna be practicing for like, I don't know why I thought this, but like 8 to 10 hours a day. I thought we would be doing stuff. But instead, it'd be like, all right, you got 2 hours of practice. You can have lunch for like 15 minutes. You might have a massage, which was great. Shout out.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would be in my house like, all right, what movie am I going to watch today?
Exactly.
What am I going to write in my journal about? Who am I going to call? What am I going to cry about? How can I make this situation better? And then I made friends with you and Katie, and then Sam. Shout out Sam. She was an angel from New Jersey. She tore her ACL there and was fighting with the management about getting back to America.
Super unfortunate situation. Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to discuss eventually. But yeah, going home for Sam was the best decision. I would have hated to stay and
we had a top-notch training facility because we had a men's team and it was like a huge stadium, right? And we had our own doctors. So we had to go an hour and a half away to get a 5-minute physical in the scariest like psych ward looking place.
Lights flickering.
They hook us up to like electrodes, like they put metal like I don't even know, collars on our wrists. Like, it was crazy.
And can we talk about how we were all in the same room together? It was like 5 of us that going in at a time. And I remember the doctor, for me, he was like, he couldn't speak English. And our captain said, you have to pull your shirt up. And I was thinking, I'm not wearing a bra. Buddy's in for a surprise. Like, okay, I guess. Like, how far? What am I doing? Because he had to put the stickers on me. But yeah, I didn't know what that was. I had never had one of those done before. And so I was like, I feel vibrations. They're shocking me. Remember, I was the first to go.
Yeah. And then, so just think about this. This is like the medical system there. Our friend tears her ACL and they're like, yeah, you just tweaked your meniscus. You're fine. And she's like, actually, no. I tore my ACL in college. You're going to redo the scan. And it turns out she tore like her ACL and MCL.
Yeah.
And then she lived like the farthest away. She lived in the poor side of town. I lived in the
poor side.
Compared to where she lived, I lived in the nicest part of town.
She lived in an also tapped apartment because remember when, we'll get to that eventually. But I wanted to mention when she found out the results for her knee, super just unethical. I remember we got back into the locker room from training and somebody on the team, I think the captain, relayed the information to her saying, "Oh yeah, the results are in, you did this." And she was like, "Well, why do I not know this? Like what's HIPAA? Does that not exist? Why is everyone just knowing my medical information?" It was really messed up. And then we had to confirm that with the doctor and then, obviously translate the document because it's not in English.
Of course.
Oh.
And then they didn't even care about her. Then our coach was like, yeah, I don't like, if Sam wasn't at practice, he'd be like, okay, I don't care. And she would have to hobble along in her little like
crutches.
European crutches, which aren't even under the arms. They're like on the wrist.
I'm not a fan.
She would have to get on the tram and she couldn't even walk. It was insane.
It was so impractical. And yeah, it was like no one was helping her because we couldn't drive. So for those of you who are listening, we would either use the inner city tram or maybe my roommate had a van, like a team van. So that's how we got to training sometimes. Yeah, that's another thing.
Because she was an American, that's why.
Oh, they knew we would have driven ourselves to the airport so fast. But oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I felt so bad about that situation for Sam. She didn't deserve that. But she's doing great now. She got out first, got her procedure done. She's healthy and she's been working. And so I'm happy for her. But just, again, yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Horrible. Just the way that they handled it was just so unethical.
And her apartment too was sketchy as fuck because she had to open her door with a wrench because the door was half broken. Like it was half a handle. She would have to use literally an Allen wrench to open her door. And she lived with a roommate because her roommate was dating one of the men's players. So she was alone in this like haunted Hungarian
tapped apartment
room with a torn ACL.
Oh, God. I forgot about the wrench. We have to have a picture there somewhere. Oh, and she was on like the third floor or fifth floor, and there was no elevator, right? Oh my God. Just awful. My gosh.
And they really did her dirty because I remember when she came, we were on the border of Serbia at that one place with the dog with he was tied up to the house. Do you remember this? We stayed at a hotel.
Oh God.
And it was like these huts.
Yep.
And they had like a pet dog and it was tied up and it was like a yellow lab, but it was like an Eastern European yellow lab. And we had a game the next day and they made her drive, like she got off a plane and had to ride 6 hours to get to the game just to watch. She wasn't even ready to play yet because she had just flown in.
Oh my God. Oh, I do remember that. And she got roomed with someone. I don't know. It wasn't me.
She got roomed with that girl who could do the Rubik's Cube. But she was like 6 feet tall, Hungarian, and she was my roommate once and she did the Rubik's Cube like perfectly.
Holy cow. Wow. Hidden talents everywhere.
Coco.
I think I've managed to erase quite a lot of memories from that time of life. That was one of them, I think. But that's a good one to keep.
Yeah, I just remember because she sat down next to me and she was she'd always wear like a sweatsuit but look really stylish in it.
Okay.
She was wearing an all white sweatsuit with like Air Force Ones. Like,
see, stylish.
Yeah, so what's the deal here? And I was like, are you from New York? And she's like, no, I'm from New Jersey. And I was like, I hate New Jersey, but you seem cool.
Typical New Yorker. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it was just bad. So Sam left first and then you left, but this was actually, so it was Sam, I almost left, and then you left, and I was so sad to hear that, but I understand.
Yeah, so we had like a month left of the contract because I think we had like a month left of playing because we weren't going to qualify for the postseason.
Right.
When I left. Yeah,
we weren't going to qualify for postseason. So our coach totally just did not care. There was a huge drop off between his motivation. Oh, he just didn't care. He stopped showing up to practice. Were you there whenever he stopped doing that?
Yeah, at the beginning because it was just The one guy who couldn't speak English. The assistant coach. I don't know his name, but yeah, the one guy. We had a coach who could speak kind of English. We had a coach who couldn't speak any English.
Yeah, but soccer's a language, Claire. It's universal.
It is, but do you remember how much our coach would yell at me about being in a certain position? I'd be like, I don't even. But then sometimes go up, and he would say all this in Hungarian. I'm like, okay, and he would yell my name, and in Hungary, the S is pronounced SH, so he'd be like, Stackel, 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 Stackel. And I'd be like, bro, I don't know what you're saying.
Also, the yelling just doesn't help at all. Like, why are we doing that? We're right here. Give me a clear and concise message.
The cool thing though, was you could stream the games back home, and my brother, he's like 7 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
He would watch the games just like, yeah.
Oh my God.
They don't know how to speak.
He just had it like a podcast running in the background while he's working or doing his CrossFit. Oh, there, Claire did something. It might have been bad, might have been good. Same tone, so you don't know.
He would send me like voice memos. I'd be like, dude, I lived it, okay?
Oh God. Yeah, no. The best part was the picture of him at the end of the season, because he actually got a red card in a game where he had too many yellows, so he had to sit out during our final, and he was in the stands screaming even louder to compensate for being further away from the field. And there's an infamous photograph that I probably cannot put up anywhere, but just yeah.
Honestly, sometimes he was a little funny, I have to say.
He is a funny guy.
In like the kind of way that a man who hates women can be funny sometimes, and you would have to kind of control and not laugh because it'd be like you're encouraging him.
Yeah. What did he do? Wait, what do you mean? Give some examples.
He was a little bit funny, but overall the guy hated women. Definitely hated women.
Definitely didn't.
So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to side with him on anything. But yeah, I just remember I got really mad. You referenced in the first episode how I brought my cake in for my birthday.
Yeah.
I remember being fucking pissed about that because our practice was early on my birthday. I had to go into the city, which is a 25-minute tram ride, pick up my own cake, which cost like, I don't know, $1 million forint.
$10.
And then bring it back. And then he was like, oh, Stackel, you got vanilla? I like chocolate. And I was like, it's my birthday, bro. Like, it's vanilla. And he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and he was like, okay. And then ate the cake.
Like, just the audacity to try to tell you on your birthday what type of flavor it should have been. God. You're going to eat it.
I was like, okay. And I think everyone on the team had a birthday in those like 2 or 3 months. Like, we had a birthday all the time, and it would be the same. You would have to sing in Hungarian, then you would have to sing in Romanian.
Okay, but this is
fun. In Greek, then you sing in English, then whatever other language, Serbian maybe, and it's the same like la 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 la, and you're like, I can't do this anymore, and it would be every day. I have so many videos of our coach like
time, because obviously we're in a different time zone. And what I had done, and I created this back in 2019, is a private Snapchat story to where you can just share things of your day with, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 people or people you trust or whoever you want to show it to. And so, yeah, whoever just was in that time of life saw some shit.
Yeah, I had such great content. And like I said, I was depressed. I had some shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
That made my content fucking up here because every day, I guess this isn't funny, but like every day I would have to cross in front of the trail and be like, is this the day today? Like, are we done here, guys? And then it would be like a suspense, and I would release something like hilarious that these people were doing, because in Europe and where we were, it's unlike any other place I've ever been to. I was looking in preparation for this podcast. I was looking through my Snapchat stories.
Yeah. Triggering.
I have this one Snapchat. This bird fell out of the sky dead in front of me. I was like, is this real?
Symbolism.
Is this real?
Yeah, I feel like the experience there was constantly saying, this isn't real life. This isn't real life. Oh, and then you finally come to accept this is. And okay, how much time do we have left of this? Like,
oh my God. I have this other snap too. Like, I'd go in the grocery store, and
the grocery store.
Hungarians, this is going to be a generalization, but they are racist, okay? They hate other people.
Okay.
I would hear these Hungarians talk about Jewish people. They hated Americans. I have this picture because I didn't believe it was real.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, I want to paint a picture for the viewers.
Okay.
You know how, like, if you go to the grocery store in America, they have like boxes of bananas. There's like the Chiquita bananas.
Yeah.
They had, bananas, and the picture was a black person in a monkey suit.
What?
And that was how they were advertising the bananas.
I did not see that. What?
That's because you lived in the city. I was going to like the rough part of town, like little supermarket where all the racists stood in the bread line, and I would have to be like,
oh my God.
Kosinam.
That's scary. Kosinam, that's a new
Insane.
Hungarian word, I forgot. Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's really distasteful. Yeah, no, they were so, as many of you can tell from the stories that we've told, is that they're way behind in times. Way behind. Yeah, we had some shocking experiences.
And even though, I just want to mention this, I was thinking about the weight room. There was the hugest picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger that I've ever seen on the wall. It was the whole wall. And he is Austrian.
Why am I forgetting this?
How could you forget Arnold? I was literally...
And
honestly, I'm not like a Terminator fan, but the Christmas movie Jingle All the Way, top tier, big fan of that. So I'm in there. Sebs is like fighting with our coach. I'm with the goalie who's like 6 feet tall, and I'm benching, also with your roommate, and I'm looking up at Arnold, and I'm like, damn, like, put some more weights on here.
Wow, was that a good motivation for you, that picture?
It was a little bit. He looked great.
There you go. Oh my God. No, I can't believe I'm forgetting this. Like, you're telling me it was the whole wall was this guy.
It was literally, you're looking at this wall. Mm-hmm. This was just his bicep.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm telling you, blocking things out is a real thing. Like, there are some things that I do not recall at all. But what I do recall, and I do want to dive into the meat of this, is how we got you out of there. Because, okay, there's a few parts to it. So from my point of view, we were told that Claire was leaving. And do you remember that I went and sneakily got your jersey?
Yeah. So I want to take a step back because
okay.
When I decide that I don't want to do something anymore, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one can tell me, hey, you should stick through this. Like, one day I woke up and I said, all right, I'm going to leave. And really what led up to this, I was having stomach issues. I don't know if you remember how bloated I looked. It was insane.
I don't remember, but I do remember hearing that you were having stomach issues.
I looked like I was carrying a child to full term. Insane. So, and it was because I have problems with my stomach, like if I'm really stressed out. So like I could not regulate that, but sometimes a certain diet helped. So I had reached out to my agent and I said, listen, I know we don't talk much, but I'm having some really bad stomach issues. And if I don't fix these, I'm going home. And he's like, no, don't do this. Because he had told me when I signed, like some Americans like that he had signed had left, not necessarily from the club that I was at or that we were at, but like they had left, and it kind of looks bad for Americans, right?
Oh, well, you know what looks bad?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm not going to dive in. Anyway, proceed.
So he had contacted our coach and like to basically say like, hey, can you provide like special food for Claire? It wasn't anything crazy, right? Like I wasn't saying I'm a vegan. It was just like, please, like, don't add onions to stuff, which honestly is tough over there because a lot of their stuff was stewed meats and like, but whatever. They're paying me to play there. Like, I should be able to get some good food. So he tells the coach is mad at me. Do you remember I got called out of the locker room like, Stackel, get out here. And I'm like, what? Because I never got in trouble. It was you who got in trouble all the time.
That's how it goes.
So I go out there and he's like, why didn't you tell me you were having problems? Why did you go to your agent? Why was he yelling at me? I was like, I don't know. I thought I was supposed to go to my agent. Like, isn't that why I have an agent? Trigger was onions, okay? So one day I get there and my agent had said like, look, they figured out the food situation. It's going to be all fine. And I'm like, I want to fucking go home at this point, but I'm still like, I'll give it a try. Like if they're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with them, right?
Yep.
So, and it was one of those days where they would like, because we were practicing in the stadium, so they would deliver the food from the cafeteria into go boxes and put it in our dressing room while we played, and then after we would have to eat it as it had been in the plastic.
So practical.
So it was that day, and mine had name on it, and I was like, oh, good. And I opened it up, and it had raw pickled onions on top. And I'm pissed because I was like, the one thing that I just don't want is onions. And they pickled the onions and put them on top and didn't even listen to me. So right then I said, you know what? I'm done. Claire's gone. I went home. I booked a flight.
The onions were your 13th reason.
The onions were my breaking point. I peeled the layers back. You know, I was done.
This is symbolic.
About the contract,
I remember this,
is there were no repercussions. Like if I left, I didn't have to pay. There were no damages. I couldn't be sued. Also, if I left, I was still going to get my paid for the next 2-3 months, which was insane that they wrote a contract that stupidly. If they didn't want people to get out of the contract, they should have made it binding so that there was some kind of problem.
Well, if you remember, some people on the team had a binding clause that we didn't have. So some people that were there prior got stuck in their contract, if you remember.
Yes.
Later.
And we didn't have that, thankfully.
So keep going.
Yeah, but those people kind of liked Hungary, though, if I remember correctly. Something about it.
They liked it more than we did.
Yeah. So I booked the flight. I went with Delta. I said I'm flying like a queen back. Like I'm not flying Turkish Airlines again. I'm not getting my cheese sandwich. And,
first class.
And it was COVID kind of over there still. So I got when I left, I got the whole middle seats to myself and I slept for 8 hours. The only time I woke up was for the caramel gelato. It was great. But getting there was insane because I had done all this and I said, you know what? I'm not good at confrontation and I'm not even going to tell these people that I'm leaving, which is kind of insane.
But desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, what was the first step, I think? So this was what, like April, the end of April 2021.
Yeah.
So I'm from like rural New York State, like the sticks, like we didn't even do anything about COVID in March 2020. I was still going to bars, like it wasn't a thing. But in Eastern Europe, it was still a thing. The borders were closed. Like we had to get like
vax
swab
cards
for COVID every week.
Oh yeah. And so for you to leave, you had to get a COVID test secretly, which come to find out, I guess it wasn't so secret because there's no HIPAA.
It wasn't secret.
Yeah.
They don't care. Yeah. So I'm like, I scheduled an appointment with and it had to be within what, like 72 hours of you leaving, I think.
Yep.
So I schedule an appointment with our clinic that's related to the
club,
the complex, and they just released to the coach that I got a COVID swab, which you can't do in America. And my coach said nothing about it. He didn't even.
Yeah, he didn't say anything.
He didn't even care.
Yeah. So
I'm doing that. I get that done, and I'm like, say to Chevs and Katie, like, I'm gonna need your help. Like, how am I gonna get to Budapest? Because it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours by car.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a car.
Oh no.
So.
But we had Oz car. And I want to talk about the Oz car. It's basically like a shared ride service. They have an app for it as well. It's not really like an Uber, but just think sketchy van. Rideshare. Yeah. Sketchy van. You meet at like a random point, like gas station, I think. We meet at McDonald's. Okay, we meet at McDonald's. I think, you can fit about 10 people in. It's you and just random people or whoever goes. So me and Katie are like, woo, free trip to Budapest for the weekend. Like, might as well make a trip out of it. Send Claire off, make sure she gets there. And I believe that somebody else on our team helped you get to the actual airport, right? Because we got to a meeting point in Budapest.
I wanted my jerseys because it had my name on it and I played professional soccer.
Yeah.
So I had to steal one, and then because we had two, we had a home and away.
Yeah.
And I got my red one, and I was like, Siobhan,
you're
gonna have to steal the other one, because I had already gone home and I had forgotten, because I think I was just like, I got to get out of here. So Siobhan steals it, but our angel of masseuse sees her. And the thing about the masseuse was cool.
And she knew.
Because she was best friends with the goalie.
Yeah.
And the goalie was kind of cool.
Yep.
And they didn't like the coach.
No one did.
So she was like, she thought you were going to leave. At first, right? And then she saw that it was my jersey and she's like, what is going on?
Yeah, I actually had an exchange with her in person. So the way that it worked was they had to wash all of our equipment and our jerseys. And so when I was in the locker room looking for yours, I was kind of like, oh, have you grabbed the bag yet? And she's like, yeah. I said, oh, hold on, I forgot a sock or a bra, She's like, oh yeah, you can open it. So I looked in and I grabbed your jersey and I kind of put it to the side and she's looking at me and I'm like, just looking at her, and she says something. There's no English is coming out of her, and I just show her the last name, and she was like, and she just nods. She doesn't see anything, closes the thing, and just goes, okay, and then leaves. So I was like, okay, we're in the clear, but she knows. And I do remember getting not a phone call, but my roommate asked me. So she got a phone call. She asked me hey, someone's jersey is missing. Your jersey is missing. And I was like, what do you mean my jersey is missing? She goes, yeah, do you have it? I said, no, I don't have it. And she was looking around my room while she was standing at the door. I said, you can come look in my room if you want, because it was nowhere to be found. I think I already gave it to you and it wasn't even mine. But I was like, yeah, we don't have anything here. I guess it's missing. I don't know. So they were kind of on to us because the COVID test raised like a little red flag, and then the jersey stealing, little red flag. And then we got in the Oz car. And of course, the city's so small. Surely somebody snapped a photo of us while we were walking to the van or something.
Yeah. And the thing was, we had a curfew every night, right? So
of course we did.
It was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., but we had like special clearance from our club that we could be out.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was, once we got to Budapest, we took the Oz car. You and Katie got an Airbnb.
Yep.
I had to go to the airport before night because to drive, you had to have a special permit as well.
Oh my
and one of the teammates who was going to Budapest anyways because her girlfriend lived there, she took me to the airport and she said, all right, see ya. But I had to spend the night, like, I think I was there for 8 hours in the Budapest airport, which is, it's not one of the airports where you fly in at night. Like, no, it was closed.
Oh.
It was me and like 2 Hungarians. It was freezing. It was 50 degrees.
Oh.
And the whole time I'm like, am I going to make it out of this country? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, probably a lot of stress around traveling. First of all, traveling is stressful in itself. 2, at that time of night and all those regulations going on. And 3, the COVID thing as well. Like, is that, like, I remember you thinking like the time was going to expire to when it was going to be valid. And then the hearing if like someone was going to come get you. I don't know.
Yeah. And the thing with all of this too, like, so I don't tell the coach, which is crazy. I just left. And my agent,
Did you tell him?
I think I deleted WhatsApp or something. And,
Sorry.
and then when I landed in America, I was like, hey, yeah, I'm back in America. Can you send me over a contract so that we can no longer be contracting? And he was like, bro, like, come on. He's like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like,
well, I tried. Kinda. Like, if you read the signs. Also, from an agent point of view, check in on your athletes. You should be involved in what's going on. And then to your point earlier, when you mentioned when our coach said, why didn't you come to me? When you have an agent, your agent is your representative. They should be the middleman between decisions like that. Like, yes, of course, you could have mentioned, hey, can we change the food? But the agent is your representative. They represent you. They should be having your best interest in mind and advocating for you.
Yeah, and honestly, I was using the food as like, I knew that they couldn't fix it. I knew. I just wanted to go home, but I kind of wanted a reason. And
the onions were it for you.
And the thing is, with my agent, I think one of the other Americans, I think Sabs was also had him as an agent.
Oh yeah. Yep. She did.
Because I remember him being like, yeah, she hasn't really reached out to me. I didn't know like anything was going on. And I'm like, that says something about you, guy. Like, you got to have a relationship. The whole thing about being an agent is like, you have a relationship with the players. You're generally not a lawyer. Like, I mean, if you're doing this, I don't think I even had to pay him.
When you got home, obviously that was the right decision for yourself. Being 3 years removed, do you still stand by your decision? And are you still happy and confident that you did that? Is there anything that you would have done differently? And then If somebody right now is in your same position, what would you advise them to do?
Yeah, so looking back at it, yeah, I did the right thing. I'm not a person who is like so stuck in not doing something. For me, it's like you're trying to figure out, are you quitting a goal or are you quitting a situation? For me, I didn't want to play professional soccer after that. It was a placeholder. So, for example, Katie, our friend, she and you as well wanted to play more soccer. So you were sticking it out because you had a goal. You didn't want to quit that goal.
Right.
For me, I was quitting the situation. It was not a good situation for me, and I needed to move on. So looking back, that was the perfect thing to do. But I think, and this is a problem for me personally, but I think a lot of other athletes might have this problem. Like once you graduate from college, you kind of don't know what you're going to do because you're used to such a structured life and like playing soccer all the time. That's kind of your life. Like, yeah, you were a student too, but like soccer is why you went to the college that you went to, like generally. And then when you get out, you don't know what to do. And for some, they keep playing soccer, right? But for me, I use soccer as kind of like I was escaping a situation, and that kind of ruined my relationship with the sport. So I think what I should have done is maybe just not even gone into the contract. Maybe if I was missing soccer, I should have first played at home, maybe ref some games. I don't know, coach, something like that closer to home first. Because maybe even being on American soil, I didn't have a passion for the game anymore.
Okay.
But going over to a different country and not a good environment, playing for a team that we weren't the most talented team I've ever been on, that just kind of amplified a feeling of, I don't even give a fuck about soccer anymore. I don't want to play. I don't want to be involved. And it took me a while to kind of get that relationship back with soccer. So if I'm looking back, you know, what would I tell myself? It's like, if you love something so much, why did you stop doing it? Right. And I stopped doing it for like a year. And now when I'm not happy, I'm going to go over to a different country and play. Like it wasn't the right choice for me. But like, do I regret it? No, it was a placeholder for me. And honestly, so I get home in April, and then I interned at a branding agency out of Houston. You kind of set me up with
Forgot about that
who
too.
worked there at the time. And then I went to law school. I decided, all right, I'll try out this law thing. And I actually just graduated in December.
Congratulations.
And yeah, I don't know. I love soccer. I still don't play anymore to this day. Like it's ruined for me. But I still watch like the Men's World Cup. I didn't miss one single game. Like I woke up 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I watched 5, 8, 11, 2. Like I love the game, but for me, I'm not a player anymore. So I think Hungary kind of solidified that for me.
Yeah. And that's part of your journey. And I mean, I'm a big believer in like, of course, yeah, it was a bad time, but that obviously helped you come to the realization that you don't truly love it as a player, but maybe you love it as a viewer, or you love it as a coach, or as someone like, maybe, I don't know if you want to be like a soccer mom when you're older, but or if you even want kids, but it's different for everyone. But I just wanted to see like, if you were to advise somebody in your same situation, like what would you have told them?
Yeah, and honestly, I used to love soccer, but playing, but college kind of ruined it for me. I think I don't know if I have a problem with authority. I think I have a problem with incompetent authority. And for a lot of people, if you're watching this as like a high school athlete, you get to college and you think your coaches are going to be the top tier, the best coaches. And you kind of figure out, at least in my experience and a lot of my friends' experiences, the coaches weren't what we wanted them to be, and they kind of ruined our experiences in college playing a sport that we loved, and that's kind of what happened to me. And I think I wanted to go to Hungary and prove to myself that I still love soccer, and that's just not, it wasn't the right vessel to do it.
Yeah.
I could have stayed at home and played, or I could have coached. Like I said, like going to a different country isn't going to heal whatever personal issues that you have.
Yeah. Maybe at least try, or if you are struggling or trying to find your passion for sport or trying to see if this is the right opportunity, not taking such a drastic change, or not making such a drastic decision, because like you mentioned, you could have maybe attempted to find your fix for that in your home state, or perspective is everything, but you can gain something from everything, right? I think we can agree on that.
For sure. Katie wouldn't have said anything bad.
No, that's not true. But we're not going to talk about that. And she's still thriving right now. She's got a hat trick yesterday. So shout out to Katie getting another hat trick in her professional career. Nice. But yeah. So with that, I am going to conclude the episode, and I am going to foreshadow, and at this point, I will have already said it, but I'm talking about passion and sport in my next one. And so it's just interesting that you brought it up right now, because I am going to touch on that because it's difficult. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and talk to everybody and just be vulnerable and let us all have a little bit of a laugh, but get to know you a little bit more. I really appreciate it, Claire.
Yeah, it was great meeting everyone. Maybe you guys will see me again.
I hope so. I hope that we can do something in person. We've become so close to finally seeing each other in person, and then just the plans change. I think last time was literally last year. I went to Ireland, and you were going to come visit.
Yeah, listen to this, everyone. Chev says, hey, I'm from Houston. I'm a Texan. I'm a country girl. We have the biggest rodeo in the world. You want to come visit me? Yeah, sure. I would love to. I listen to country music. I'm from the sticks. Yeah, let me book my plane ticket. I get ready. I borrow my friend's Stetson. I have some cowboy boots in my shopping cart. And she texts me, hey, I'm moving to Northern Ireland to play soccer. Sorry. All right, that's fine. I'll find a different rodeo.
Well, you know what? Now that we speak of it, it's rodeo season, like next month, or it's approaching. So if you are going to be home sometime soon in the States, definitely come by. It finishes at the end of March.
Yeah, I'll still be in Colombia. I come home at the end of March.
Okay, fine. Well, I guess next year. I'll put it in my calendar for next year. You're making a rodeo because you have to, because Houston, Texas, we throw down over here. But
okay, perfect. Yeehaw.
Awesome. Yeehaw. And then good luck to you taking the bar.
Yeah, 2 weeks out.
2 weeks out. You got it. That's exciting. Sending a lot of positive energy for you. Again, thank you so much, Claire, and best of luck.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.